Time for another update. So I worked on putting some of this stuff back together and all, and I obviously don't have all the parts that go to the clutch. So I mainly just wanted to go over there and see what I could find, give me a better idea how this thing operates. But anyway, I wound up taking the flywheel and everything completely out. I'll tell you why here in a little bit. So essentially, there is, first of all, that cog is going to have to come off before you can get the flywheel and everything off, because that cog covers up this bearing housing. It's the one right here. I tried to drive this shaft through that bearing housing and just take the flywheel and everything off and leave the bearing housing on there. That did not happen. So that cog had to come off. The whole bearing housing and everything, it just goes through this hole. On the back side is where that brake drum mounts. This is the brake drum. This thing is weighted. Probably helps to act as a flywheel, but that is weighted, and this brake pad goes around it, and that there's a set screw that goes on the keyway on that shaft. That shaft it comes all the way through that bearing housing right there. Like I said, I tried to drive it out. That didn't happen. So, but that bearing housing just goes up here in this hole. And then I really don't know how all this goes together. So this cog right here is actually made out of wood, believe it or not. But there's a keyway underneath that holds the shaft and the cog and everything together. And then, like I said, on this side, I'm pretty sure this is actually a bearing race right here, because part of it popped off and it's made out of brass. But there's a keyway right here. I really honestly couldn't tell you exactly how this thing went together originally. I couldn't. But this thing's very heavy. I used the forklift and a strap to pull it out. Had to loosen this bracket up to let it drop down. But like I said, I'll show you here in a little bit why I took everything apart. But somebody asked about, well, you don't know what kind of... I will be honest. I thought that welders were the most toxic trade. And somebody told me one time that machinists were worse. You can't post a video on Facebook of anything welding related without having 15 Facebook, welding experts come on and tell you how you're doing it wrong. And sometimes I chime in and talk about, I'm going to clean up some tools while we're talking. Sometimes I chime in and tell somebody when they're doing something that's wrong. It's not like I have, a college degree in welding or anything, and all you've been doing is welding for 20 years. So just because you've been doing it for 20 years doesn't mean you've been doing it the right way for 20 years. Keep that in mind. So know your place, guys. Also, yeah, I'll get on there and talk about sometimes, hey, you're doing that wrong. But let me tell you, machinists, they really are the worst. Oh man, you could post a video of you. You could post a video of you giving a blowjob, and they would get on there and tell you how you're doing it wrong. I mean, well, if I was doing it, I would do this. That's how they are. I'm just saying. And there is a forum. I think it's called. Well, shoot, I don't remember what it's called, but it's a machinists and metal forming forum. I'm very new to the metal forming industry. I really don't know what I'm doing. I'm doing everything, playing everything by ear. So, constructive criticism is great. It is. And I had 2 or 3 comments I got on this forum, because they have old machines and everything, and I thought that somebody on there could probably help me with what I'm doing. And there was a couple or 3 guys that got on there that they really did help. And then there was the others that did not care anything about helping. They just wanted to get on there and tell me I was doing it wrong. Yes, I bought a press brake that had no clutch, that I dropped the motor on, had no dies, is old as dirt, and I paid $500 for it. I figure $500, that's a lot of money right now to me, but at the same time, $500 with the potential to have a machine that makes me a lot of money if I only have to put $1,000 into it, not including dies, that's a pretty good deal. And I get to learn something along the way and get really intimate with my equipment. So yeah, I mean, I'm studying it, going, well, I know where my limit is when I need to pull out and scrap it, because I can take it to the scrap yard. By my estimations, I can take it to the scrap yard and get about $300 to $400 for it. So that means I'm only out $100, $200 plus labor and fuel to pick it up, which isn't to be ignored, but still. And I'll tell you, I talk about excluding the price of the dies because dies are specialized anyway, and I'm going to have to buy dies for what I'm doing regardless of the machine. So yeah, I'm excluding the price of the dies, because the dies I can also, if I ever upgrade machines, which if this works out and I use it a lot, I'm sure I will upgrade machines, I can take the dies with me as long as they have the same kind of chuck. So if I can put maybe $1,000 into it, excluding dies, if I'm in it no more than $1,500 all in all, I've got a pretty good deal, is the way that I look at it. There were so many guys that got on the forum and commented. One guy said, you paid $500 for a press that has no dies, no motor, yada yada yada, no clutch. You need to scrap that thing sooner than later. Just scrap it ASAP. I'm like, well, you know, I really appreciate the input, but it's kind of not how I do things. If I commit to something, I'm going to do it. So another one was like, yeah, scrap it ASAP. And then they got into an argument about, you know, because they're like, yeah, cool, you got a 35-ton press, that'll do 14 gauge. And I'm like, well, so as I mentioned yesterday in my video, brake pressing, the capacity of the machine varies based on the tonnage that you have, and the dies that you have is another factor, and also based on the length of what you're trying to press. So if it lets me do 11 gauge, that's 48 inches long, then I can press my parts. Which, from what I've seen, I actually can press 11 gauge, that's 4 feet long, which is gonna be great. And I was just talking with my sales manager, and he's like, well, is this thing gonna be profitable for more than just this one part that you build? And I said, yeah, oh yeah, for sure. Because I can bend all kinds of stuff with it. I can bend small odds and ends parts that I can sell, you know, all kinds of stuff. And it's really going to boost my productivity, because instead of having to cut and weld all of my angles, and then I can just bend it. Well, I got back with Nexen, and here's what I found. Nexen sent me back specs. I sent them, they asked for, oh, come on, computer. He asked for the info that he wanted was rated tonnage, press stroke distance, shaft diameter, drive speed shaft, or drive shaft speed, wow, strokes per minute, and the crankshaft speed. I sent back and said, from all that I can find, because some of this stuff I can't find, from all that I can find, the press brake is rated 35 tons, the stroke's 2 inches, the shaft diameter is 1.5 inches. The engine RPM is the motor RPM for the new motor that I have is going to be 1725 RPM. If I go back with the same size pulleys that are on there, I'll have to change the pulley. The pulley that's on the old motor has a different shaft diameter than the pulley that's on the new motor. So I have to change, I'll have to get a new pulley for it. And with these 1700 RPMs or whatever it is, yeah, 1725 RPMs that the new motor's putting out. If I go back with the same size pulleys, that puts me at 2000 RPMs on the flywheel. And the strokes per minute, I just went off of what I found on another one that I found, was about 13 strokes per minute. He replied back, asked if I knew the speed ratio. The ratio that I came up with is 0.109 or 0.1905. The drive shaft sprocket has 20 teeth. The crankshaft has 105 teeth. So I just did a reduction on that. And he sent back and said that there's two options. There's one that has a clutch torque of 3,680 inch-pounds. That's for a 2-inch stroke and 0.032 stroke distance. I'm not 100% sure what the difference between 2-inch stroke and 0.032 stroke distance is. I don't know what that differential is. And I don't know. The clutch that he sent me was a DPC-9T. It's rated at 5,000 inch-pounds. It'll produce 3,680 inch-pounds at 59 psi of air. It would take a bushing to go to an 1.5-inch shaft. The other one that he sent me was for a 2-inch stroke and a 0.125 stroke distance. Once again, I don't know exactly what the difference is in those two numbers, why those numbers are different. Still learning at this. This was a DPC 11T, rated for 11,000 inch-pounds, and it'll produce 7,080 inch-pounds at 52 psi. So I asked well, first of all, I asked if I needed to fasten it to the flywheel or if I'll have to drive it directly from the motor, and he said it'll drive directly from the belt. A pulley can be mounted to the clutch pilot. This is what it looks like. Well, let me pull up this image. So this is what it looks like. And you can put a pulley on it right here. It bolts right here. And your belt will drive it, obviously, and then your shaft will be in neutral until you engage the clutch. So I asked him that. He said you can derive it directly from the belt. The nearest distributor that we have is the Purvis Industries. I called them, asked for a price on it, and I about had a heart attack. First of all, he had to get a quote on it from Nexen, because they don't just carry it, so he sent in a quote request, and I about had a heart attack. Gonna be honest. $4,387 for the small clutch, $5,000 for the big clutch, and I about died. I was like, well, this thing's going to the scrapyard because I can't do that. But instead, I got on and just searched for air clutch brake, and I had several show up on eBay. And I actually searched for the part that I need on eBay, and searched for the part number, and I found one. There's one on eBay for $900. And it's the same part number that he gave me for the small clutch. So I sent them an offer. Way less than $900. We're going to see if we get a counter offer, or if they just decline it, or what. I don't want to spend a whole ton of money on this. Can't spend a whole ton of money on this. But if I can, like I said, if I can be $1,500 in this thing and have a operational press brake, then I will be very happy. The list of things that I need the clutch brake. I need an air solenoid to activate it, which I think I can get a pedal on Amazon for $30. I can get a air solenoid on eBay for $292. And put all that together, I'll need to get the motor wired in and get a forward and reverse switch on it. But other than that, if I can like I said, if I'll be $1,500 in this thing all in all, I've got about $1,000 to spend on it as my max before, you know, having to buy dies and everything. Then I'll be happy. And I talked to, like I said yesterday, I emailed Right Way Brake Dies, and he's supposed to be working on a price for me for the dies to build my parts. Just as a baseline, because I can use them on other smaller stuff as well. And I'm going to get segmented dies, so I'll get dies that are made to break 10 gauge plate at 90 degrees max, and I will get I want segmented dies so I can take out I can use only the sections that I need to break my part, and then if I need the full width of the bed, then I can put the full length of die back in there. So I can do, and actually you're not supposed to, but if the dies are rated for 10 gauge, I can technically break thinner material with it. It's just going to increase the bend ratio more than typical. There's a whole lot of math that goes into press brakes and everything, but it's not going to be that bad. Here's a forward reverse switch on eBay for 28 bucks. So, and I want forward and reverse because, like I said yesterday, if you find yourself bound up in a spot where it would be dangerous to complete the stroke before it came back up, then you would have to rewire. The instructions actually tell you, if you don't have a forward and reverse switch, to go in and rewire the motor so that it will run in reverse, and it'll raise the press back up. So as a safety feature, I'm going to put an electric pedal on there, and then because I don't have to bolt it to the floor, so you can slide it wherever you need it, I'll put an electric pedal on the floor, and then I'm going to have a forward and reverse switch on it with a neutral position, an off position. So anyway, that's where we're at today. A little bit of progress. Still not 100% convinced that I'm going to make this thing run, but I'm holding out hope. Things are looking better, especially with this eBay clutch that I found. Apparently somebody else is watching it. Says it's in one cart, so apparently somebody else is looking at it too. I'll have to get the clutch brake and a pulley to go on it, and then I will have to get a pedal, a solenoid, and then after that it'll be wiring the motor and all of that. So yeah, I'm excited about the possibility of being able to get this thing set up. If I am gonna keep it and set it up, I'm probably gonna clean it up and paint it, at least prime it so it'll look better. And there's other clutches that are on here, but they're not the same part number as what he gave me. Looking at the specs, they don't look like they're going to do what I need it to do. I don't know enough about these to go out and say, oh yeah, I can get away with a clutch that only puts out 900 inch-pounds of torque. Because I don't know enough about this to know if that's, if I'm going to need that full 3,080 inch-pounds of torque. I don't know enough to know if I'm going to need it. I'm assuming that this guy from Nexen knows what he's talking about because he does this every day. And if he, did the math on it, then I'm sure he knows what it's going to need. But anyway, that's where we're at. So like, share, comment, subscribe, and I will keep you posted. Even if I take it to the scrapyard, I'll keep you posted, tell you how much I get for it. So see ya.